We've got Dunks, we've got Travis Scotts, we've got Jordans, we've got Noctas, we've got New Balances. This month is insane and I cannot wait. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today we're taking a look at the sneaker releases in December 2022. But first, this. It's almost Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
And most likely you're at that point where you're starting to stress about what gifts to get for your friends and family so they don't hate you when you show up with nothing at Christmas.
The fans are booing the move.
But the good news is I've got the answer for you, and that's a fresh set of Soul Premise bags. My Soul Premise bags are my go-to bags whenever I travel, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. One, they're super high quality. Two, they're TSA approved, so you can bring them onto the airplane with you. But three, it's because not only are they great at just carrying all your stuff, they're also specifically designed to hold your sneakers. For example, this brand new Soul Premise monogram bag right here, which first of all looks awesome, is actually specifically designed to not only just be a great looking backpack, but also very carefully and securely carry two pairs of sneakers in the front of the bag. Plus you've got a laptop sleeve in the back of the bag and a bunch of space in the middle for your clothes or whatever it is that you're bringing for your overnight trips or maybe even your flight to a different country. So whether you're grabbing gifts for your friends and family this holiday season or maybe even just yourself, which is not a problem at all, I definitely recommend checking out Soul Premise by clicking the link in the top of the description and use my code Seth for 40% off your entire order. It's an insane discount and you get these bags at a great price. But getting into things, if you're not familiar with this series or you're watching this series for the first time, is we take a look at all of the sneaker releases or all of the sneaker releases that we know about in any given month. In this case, it's December 2022. I let you know what I think about all of these sneaker releases and whether I think each one of these shoes will sit on shelves or sell out. And as you probably know, this year has been pretty crazy when it comes to sneaker releases. Release dates change all the time and new sneakers pop up out of nowhere, so there's no way to guarantee that the dates in this video are correct, especially because we're filming it before the start of December. So keep that in mind if there's any shoes that you're really looking forward to. If you're trying to find one particular shoe, make sure to stay on top of the release information for that shoe because it could change at any time. But with all that being said, let's dive right into things. Starting things off on December 1st, we've got two different colorways of the New Balance 650s. Two 650 colorways that are dropping are the green and white colorway and the gray and white colorway. They're actually both pretty similar colorways because they both feature a white leather upper. However, I think I'm more drawn to the green colorway because I just like the way those accents pop a little bit more. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is the first time that the 650s have released as a non-collaboration shoe. Obviously, the first 650s that dropped were the ALD 650s. Now we're getting a non-collab version, just a standard New Balance version of the shoe, which is actually a really good thing because it means a lot more people will be able to grab these shoes. Even though the resale price of the ALDs is not that crazy, I still think if you're looking to grab a pair of 650s, which essentially is a high version of the 550s, this is definitely a shoe worth going for. Plus, that white and green colorway is absolutely fire in my opinion. If I walk into a New Balance store and I see it sitting there, I might grab it. Now, as far as whether these shoes are hyped up enough to actually sell out, I'm not 100% sure. I would not be surprised if they sell well, but you're still able to find pairs at your local New Balance store or maybe your Foot Locker like a week or two after the release. So for that reason, even though I think these are great shoes and even though I think they deserve to sell out, I think they will probably end up sitting on shelves. Also dropping on December 1st, we've got the Adidas Forum Low Grinch. So let's be honest, you probably know exactly what the shoe is going to look like. It's a Grinch-themed Adidas Forum Low, so it comes in this entirely hairy suede green upper, which I actually really like. And one thing that I feel like has been missing from a lot of the basketball sneakers over the last couple years, particularly Nike basketball sneakers, is like themes, like Christmas theming, Easter theming, any sort of holiday theme. I feel like we haven't really been getting any of that over the last like 5 years. They've kind of really toned down their theming across the board when it comes to all sneaker brands, which is definitely a bummer. A lot of these theme shoes are some of the most memorable and iconic sneakers of all time, like the Kobe Grinches, and we just haven't really had anything like that from popular brands like Nike or even Adidas. So it's really nice to see one of these brands stepping out, creating a very obviously themed shoe. I think last year they had the Home Alones, which, yes, I understand is sort of a Christmas shoe, but at the same time, it's not as like overtly themed as this shoe is, and I love this shoe because of that. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest green shoe fan in the world when it comes to like bright green. I love the Grinches. Maybe it's because I'm a hype beast, I don't know. But this is a shoe that I could actually see myself rocking for Christmas time, and for that reason, I might try and grab this shoe. Now, obviously, the tonal green coloring of this shoe is not the only theming that takes place on this sneaker. You've also got Grinch eyes on the tongue, as well as a red box and some really interesting sort of details on the laces. I'm not exactly sure what to call them. Are they lace accessories? I have no idea, but either way, it's a cool looking shoe, and I think if I do grab a pair of these, I will switch out the laces to the red laces, which they do include inside the box, because I feel like that'll make it just that much more Grinchy, Christmassy. Now, this one's kind of interesting to me when it comes to sitting or selling, because I think in any other circumstance, this shoe would definitely sit on shelves because it's a bright green Forum Low, and while yes, Forum Lows are one of Adidas's more popular shoes, bright green is not one of the more popular colorways. However, because this is a Christmas-themed shoe, and I think a lot of people are feeling the holiday spirit this year because, you know, it's finally close to one of the most normal years we've had in a while, this could be a shoe that could be pretty hyped up, and so for that reason, I'm optimistically giving this shoe a sell. Moving on to December 2nd, we've got the Soulfly Air Jordan 13s. Soulfly has been a pretty prolific collaborator with Jordan Brand over the last couple of years, and it seems like those collaborations are not nearing any kind of end. This time around, the collaboration is taking place on the incredibly popular Air Jordan 13. The majority of the upper of the shoe comes in this really nice dimpled university blue. The tongue of the sneaker comes in this nice light tan, which I believe is made up of a ripstop style material. Now, one detail that really caught my attention with this collaboration is the light gray fuse overlay around the toe of the sneaker. That's not something that we usually see on Air Jordan 13s, at least not that sort of fuse overlay detail, but I really like the contrast that it creates with the rest of the shoe, and I love how the gray actually travels all the way around the back of the sneaker. I think overall, although it's sort of a pastel colored shoe, I think it's a very, very clean look and one that I will absolutely try to get my hands on if I can, but knowing these shoes, the hype is just going to be crazy. As of right now, the inspiration behind this shoe has not been made public, but based on the insole of the sneaker, it looks like it could be Michael Jordan's yacht, because the insole of the shoe features the same sort of elephant print pattern in the same color scheme that's on MJ's yacht. No matter what the inspiration is, I think it's an incredibly clean sneaker and one that I will absolutely be going for, and as you probably could have guessed, I will definitely be giving this shoe a sell. Next up, dropping on the 2nd, we've got the incredibly highly anticipated Nocta Nike Air Force 1 Low Certified Loverboard. So this shoe has been leaked and rumored for months, if not years at this point, and I believe it was supposed to release around the release date of the Certified Loverboy album. But for whatever reason, the release of this shoe was delayed. Now, there is a rumor going around that the reason for the delay is because the stars that you usually find on the toe of Air Force 1s were replaced with hearts, and there was some molding issue. I don't know if that's the truth. I mean, it sounds reasonable, but at the same time, I don't think it'd be that much more difficult to mold hearts than stars. Then again, I'm not the one molding the shoes. I have no idea. They'd obviously have to create a whole new mold for the bottom of the sneaker anyway. I'm not sure, but either way, the shoe has been delayed for around a year at this point, and we're finally getting it on December 2nd of this year. And it seems like the upper of the shoe comes in some incredibly high quality white tumbled leather, which I'm very excited for. Most Air Force 1 leather is usually garbage, so it's nice to see a pair coming with some decent quality leather. Well, I don't know for sure until we actually get the shoe in hand, but I'm assuming based on the pictures. And then, as far as I can tell, the only other difference between this shoe and a standard pair of Air Force 1s is the Nocta branding you can find throughout the sneaker. You've got it on the sock liner, on the tongue of the sneaker, and I believe it might also be on the heel of the shoe as well. Yes, at a distance, this shoe might look like a standard pair of AF1s, but when you get close, you realize that there's a lot of nice changes that I really think make this shoe something special and something that I definitely want to grab. And while I'm not like the biggest Drake fan ever, I do enjoy Drake's music, but I'm not like, going to Drake concerts. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'd still grab this shoe because I think it's a really nice homage to classic Air Force 1s. And obviously, because it's a Drake collab or a Nocta collaboration, this shoe will definitely sell out. Then finally rounding up the 2nd, we've got another incredibly highly anticipated shoe with the Concepts Nike SB Dunk Low Orange Lobster. And the drama around this shoe has been insane because I think the hype is just at another level for this shoe. So anyone who has an early pair, everyone thinks it's fake or they don't think it's, I don't know exactly what's going on. I haven't followed it at all. I just know that everyone's always talking about these shoes, even though in my opinion, they're just kind of an orange dunk. I know that's like a, it's a plebe opinion, but at the same time, I mean, it's just an all orange dunk. I get it. Like, I understand it's cool, but come on. Regardless, this lobster-themed concept collaboration is in probably its, 5th or 6th iteration. This is the first time that we're getting an orange colorway of the shoe. We've had the red lobsters, the purple lobsters, the green lobsters. There's a bunch of other lobster colorways. I don't remember exactly which ones have dropped and which ones haven't, but they're all essentially monochromatic Nike SB Dunk Lows that come in suede uppers. You've also got the rubber band around the toe of the shoe, which I actually think is a nice hit. Obviously, you take that off when you wear the shoe, but it's supposed to represent the rubber bands that you get on lobster claws. I don't know, I'm never gonna do that again. It's a cool collaboration, I like it, and I think overall if I can grab a pair of these for retail, I will, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to pay resale. But if you're a dunk fan or a dunk collector, not that I'm not, but I mean, I'm not gonna pay thousands of dollars for this shoe, you're definitely gonna be going for this sneaker, and I think there's way more people who are excited about this shoe than not, and so for that reason, I'm giving this shoe an absolute sell. I should also say that this release that's happening on the 2nd is only for concepts. Apparently this shoe is re-releasing on the Sneakers app on December 20th, so it's kind of releasing on both days. I think the concepts release will be a lot harder to get. The Sneakers app, there's probably not going to be a lot of pairs on there, but it will be a little bit easier because you don't have to be near a Concepts location. So keep that in mind if you're trying to grab this shoe. Concepts are dropping on December 2nd. Sneakers app should be dropping around the 20th or on the 20th. Hold up, for this next release, let me change the lights really quick. I should have done this for the Grinches too, but I didn't because I forgot, but that's fine. So the last release on December 2nd is one of my favorite and also one of the best, and that of course is the Apothecary Christmas/Holiday Collection. This collection comes in 4 different colorways that match every mood, like this sort of eggnog themed one. You've got the full-on eggnog colorway that you can actually rock in days that aren't holiday days. You've also got this more holiday Christmassy themed one, which I personally think is my favorite because you can go with any ugly Christmas sweater, or you can dress up any fit that you have in a very holiday or festive theme. And then finally, you've got the gray on gray holiday snow colorway. All of these socks are absolutely fire and will make you feel more festive than you probably are actually feeling in real life. So if you want to grab any of these limited holiday themed Apothecary socks, they drop officially on December 2nd on apothecary.com, link in the description below. Continuing on to December 3rd, we've got the Air Jordan 12 Black and Gold. So this shoe looks a lot like the Master 12s from 2015 or 2016. I'm not sure exactly what the release date for those was, but it's an all-black Air Jordan 12 featuring a tumbled leather upper, accented by gold hits on the lace eyelets, as well as a newer gold hit on the midfoot of the shoe. I believe the Masters came with a white hit. Now I'll be honest, I missed out on the Masters when they first released, and I was never able to grab a pair for retail, and so I just let those shoes go, and I've been bummed ever since. And while I'm not really a 12 fan, I used to love 12s. I used to wear them all the time, especially in the winter because they feel like boots. I'm kind of over the 12 phase, and this is a shoe that I'm personally gonna let go, even though I think it's a good looking Air Jordan 12. That said, I think there's a lot of people out there who are very excited about this sneaker because black and gold Air Jordan 12s are always clean and always very easy to wear. However, I think Jordan Brand's gonna produce a bunch of these, so I think these shoes will be pretty easy to get, and for that reason, I'm giving these shoes a sit. Then moving on to December 8th, we've got the Nike Air Max Scorpion in triple black. So the Nike Air Max Scorpion is one of the wildest sneakers that I think Nike's released in the last like 2 or 3 years. This shoe is insane. It looks like you're literally standing on top of like a crop of balloons, kind of like the Up House. It looks like you're standing on top of the Up House. It's crazy. And unfortunately, I learned when I bought a pair for myself and actually did a review on it, which you can check out through the link at the top of the screen, the shoe just doesn't feel as exciting as I was hoping it would feel. It feels just like a really stiff air unit, which is a huge bummer because of how big the air units actually are. That said, I think it's a really unique looking sneaker and one that I actually really like the look of because of how crazy looking it is. So if you weren't a fan of the initial launch colorways of this shoe, you now have a chance to grab this pair in triple black, which is a much more wearable colorway. However, in my opinion, it hides a lot of the details that I think make this shoe as special as it actually is. Obviously, I think this shoe is going to be a GR, so it's not going to be very difficult to get, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Moving on to December 10th, we've got the Bodega New Balance 9060 Age of Discovery. So I actually have a pair of these. Huge shout out to Bodega for sending this pair my way, and I've got to say it's one of my favorite New Balance sneakers of the entire year. And I know it sounds like I'm saying that just because they sent me a pair, but genuinely, this shoe is absolutely fire. I love the 9060 silhouette, and the materials used on this shoe are incredible. So apparently the inspiration behind this shoe is the Age of Discovery. Apparently a time around the Renaissance where nations were starting to discover other nations and learn more about the world that was around them, and I think that's a pretty cool inspiration, and because of that, you've got some really nice material choices on this shoe, and that's one thing that I really love about New Balance collaborations in general. They always have a really great emphasis on quality materials, and I feel like this shoe is a great example of that. And like I was saying earlier on in the video, shoes just haven't been selling out the way that they used to, but because this collaboration is so clean, and New Balance is one of those brands that's still really up and coming, I feel like this collab has a very good chance to sell out. So if you're trying to grab a pair of these for yourself, be on your game, enter your raffles, because I think these shoes will probably end up selling. And then rounding off December 10th, we've got the Air Jordan 11 Cherries. I know it's a Saturday, but it was a missed opportunity to not drop these shoes on the 11th. That's, I don't know, it's stupid, but it would be cool. So this is a shoe that I've already dropped a review on, and if you guys want to check out my full thoughts on this sneaker, make sure to click the link at the top of the screen. But as you guys probably know, this is 2022's holiday Air Jordan 11 release, and over the last couple years we've been getting some retros of Air Jordan 11s, or I guess remakes of OG colorways like the cool grays and the breads and things like that, but this is the first time that we're getting the cherry colorway on high 11. And even though it's not an OG colorway, I actually think this is one of the best non-OG Air Jordan 11 colorways to drop in a long time. Not to ruin the review for you guys, but that cherry patent leather pops so well, and you guys know red is my favorite color, and that's like the perfect shade of red. I absolutely love it. So this release is going to be kind of interesting because there's already been like 2 releases of this shoe, 2 official releases through the sneakers app of this shoe, like a month and a half before this sneaker was actually slated to release. In fact, even from now, it's still like 2 weeks out, the release date of this shoe, and I've already had a pair from the sneakers app for like a week and a half. So while I don't think this shoe is going to be just a traditional GR where there's like a million pairs out there, there's probably going to be a couple 100,000 pairs out there, but not as many as like a standard Nike release. I do think it will be pretty easy to grab this shoe, and while it might not sell out on the first day that the sneaker comes out, at least not in stores, I think that it will probably end up selling out because it's the holiday Air Jordan 11 release. So for that reason, and the fact that it's a great looking sneaker, I do think that this shoe will end up selling. Moving on to December 15th, we've got a pretty wild release with the Nike SB Dunk Low eBay. So this shoe is probably one of the wildest and weirdest looking releases from Nike all year. This shoe, well, actually the CPFM dunks are pretty wild and pretty ugly, but this is up there with them. So while this shoe looks ridiculous, a lot of sneakerheads might not know the story behind this shoe and why they decided to make this shoe look like this. So the story behind this shoe is that back in the mid-2000s, there was a charity auction for a pair of one-of-one eBay colored Nike Dunks, and in order to make sure that the person who won the auction actually got a pair in their size, the sample that was used for the photos for that auction was actually cut up into pieces so that there was only one pair in existence. And there's this really iconic image of the sample shoe cut up into pieces that everyone I'm sure remembers if you were into sneakers at that point, and no one actually knows who won the auction for these sneakers, or if they do, they don't know who has the shoes now, and so it's kind of a pair that's been elusive for a lot of people. However, over the last couple years, it became known that there was actually a second pair of these shoes made and gifted to Sandy Bodecker, who is the person who made Nike SB what it is. So this shoe is releasing as an homage to Sandy Bodecker and what Sandy did for the brand, and also as a really cool concept of a cut-up shoe that's actually able to be worn. Now personally, I really like this shoe, and it's not because I think it's going to be a comfortable shoe, because I just don't. I think those little plastic pieces might dig into your foot. I also think it's a wild looking sneaker that I probably could not pull off. The reason I like this sneaker is because of the history behind it and the homage it pays to Sandy Bodecker. I think it's a cool concept, I think it's a cool sneaker because of that, but I just don't know what the reception to this shoe is going to be like, especially because a lot of people just don't know the story behind this shoe. However, knowing Nike, I'm sure this shoe will be incredibly limited and incredibly difficult to get, and so for that reason, I'm giving this pretty crazy eBay dunk a definite sell. Also dropping on December 15th, it's a Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Black Phantoms. So I'm sure you've seen pictures of this shoe circulating online for months at this point. It's essentially an all-black Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low with a backwards Nike swoosh that features white stitching details that kind of makes the upper of this shoe a little bit more interesting because you can actually see the paneling on the upper of the shoe. And overall, it's a cool looking black Air Jordan 1 Low. However, it's not something that I think is going to be considered one of the best Travis Scott collaborations. And I mean, again, it's definitely not a bad looking shoe. It's very clean. It's an all-black Air Jordan 1 Low. Can't get much cleaner than that. It features some white details like I mentioned, the backwards Nike swoosh that gives this shoe all the hype, and of course it's tied to Travis Scott. So this shoe is definitely going to be a hyped up sneaker, even though if this shoe released as just a standard Air Jordan 1 Low, no one would care about it. That being said, because the shoe is a Travis Scott collaboration, this shoe will absolutely sell out and probably resell for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Continuing on to December 16th, we've got the Ane Leon Dore New Balance Rainiers dropping in 3 different colorways. So this shoe is definitely more of a sneaker boot than anything else, and it's definitely a departure from some of the previous ALD New Balance collaboration. The shoe comes in 3 different colorways, a tan, a brown, and a gray, and personally, I think they're all fine. Historically, I've been a huge fan of everything that ALD and New Balance have put out, and while I don't think this is a bad collaboration, it's just not something I could see myself rocking. I mean, I guess if you're looking for a sort of hiking or winter boot aesthetic, and you're looking for a sort of hyped up pair of ALD collaboration New Balances, then this is not a bad way to go, but I just feel like it's not really appealing to the same audience that ALD and New Balance have been appealing to with their previous collaborations. I mean, this definitely appeals to the standard ALD audience, but not really so much the sneakerhead audience. So while I'm sure this shoe will do well for ALD, I just don't see it really selling out, and for that reason, I'm giving all 3 of these colorways a sit. Jumping forward to December 17th, we've got the Air Jordan 7 Cardinal. So apparently this is the 4th time ever that this OG Air Jordan 7 colorway has ever retroed. And what's cool about this release is that, like some of the other shoes that Jordan Brand is bringing back this year, they decided to make this shoe in the exact original spec to the original release of the shoe. So the box is the same as the OG, the shape of the shoe is the same as the OG, the colors are the same as the OG. It's a very cool concept and one that I'm very excited about, even though I'm not a huge Air Jordan 7 fan. I will say though, as a 1992 baby, I do have some affinity to the Air Jordan 7 because it released in the same year, so there is that, and I am planning to grab this shoe just because I'm trying to create a full Air Jordan OG collection, not just for the $20 sneaker collection, but also for myself, and I think that this shoe would be a great addition to that collection. Now, if you're not familiar with this colorway, it comes in a white tumbled leather upper accented by black, white, and red hits, and overall, it's a very clean and simple Air Jordan 7 that is honestly one of the most wearable 7s out there. Also, according to Jordan Brand, this shoe will drop in full family sizing, so no matter who you are in the family, you can rock a pair of OG 7s and look great because it's a fire looking sneaker. Now, as far as the actual release for this shoe, I think it will be probably not a GR release, but also not that difficult to get. And while I think this shoe will probably end up selling out, I think you still have a couple days like after the release of the shoe to maybe pick up pairs or leftover raffles that weren't picked up. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell, but I don't think it'll be impossible to get. Moving on to December 28th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Gorge Green. So as you probably could have guessed, the dominant color on this shoe is sort of a forest, or I guess Gorge green, and the color blocking of this shoe is very similar to that of the Codot JPs in that it has a metallic silver Nike swoosh and a sort of bubble-ified Wings logo on the lateral side. Now, I've got to be honest, I don't think it's a bad looking Air Jordan 1. I think we don't get enough green Air Jordan 1s. I understand why, because it's sort of Celtics colorways, and it doesn't really work out that way. It's a decent looking shoe, and if you like green and you want to grab a pair of green Air Jordan 1s, I think this is a great way to go. However, I don't think that this is that exciting of a colorway. I feel like Jordan Brand, while they've been releasing like tons of Air Jordan 1 colorways this year, they've kind of been slacking in the dope department. Like, there's just not a lot of, that sounds like a weird, I don't know, the dope department? Why did I say that? And I just don't know if this is a shoe that a lot of people are going to be that excited about grabbing. And while yes, I do think there is still some hype around the Air Jordan 1, I just feel like this shoe is kind of like a colorway. And so for that reason, I think this shoe might end up sitting. It'll probably sell out in the sneakers app. It might sell out in certain stores, but I don't think you'll have any trouble finding this shoe in store at least the first week of release. I think you can probably find a good amount of pairs for retail easily. And then finally rounding off the releases, actually for the entire year of 2022, we've got one of my most anticipated releases of the year, which is dropping on December 30th, and that's the OG Air Jordan 2 Chicago. So I'm not gonna lie, I paid a crazy resale price on GOAT to grab the shoe early to give you guys an early review, and if you guys wanna check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen. But genuinely, even though the Air Jordan 2 isn't one of the most popular Jordan signature models, it's one of the probably most underrated shoes, I think, in Jordan's entire catalog of sneakers. And especially in the Chicago colorway, it's super, super clean. And while this shoe is not made in Italy like the original Air Jordan 2, it does feature all the OG details, like the OG cut, the OG box. They even redid the midsole of the shoe to look just like the OG. It's a one-for-one recreation of the original, and I absolutely love it. I've actually got my personal pair right here, and I think it's an incredible looking sneaker. I love the white upper accented by the red on the heel, the red Wings logo, and then you've got the black midsole with the white and the red. It's just a simple, clean, classic Air Jordan sneaker. And I think if you're an Air Jordan fan and you want to have like, well, all the OG shoes, this is a must. I mean, you literally have to have this shoe if you're trying to create a clock, again, of all the OG Air Jordan models. This is it. This is the dude. This is the guy. And this shoe is absolutely fire. And even if you're not trying to do that, it's a very wearable shoe that I definitely recommend picking up. Plus, I don't know how difficult this shoe is going to be to get. I'm sure they're going to make a lot of pairs of these, but maybe not a huge amount of pairs of these. So I do think you might have some trouble finding a pair of these. So because of that, definitely giving this shoe a sell, and if you're looking to grab a pair of these, enter all the raffles you can, because this is a banger. This is a fire sneaker and a great way for Jordan Brand to end off the year. But hey, that pretty much wraps up the video for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in the next one.